Hello, I'm the designer of a game called Wastelandia. It's a game that's going to be on Kickstarter, and it's on Board Game Arena now, so you can play it and see what you think before backing it on Kickstarter. So, yeah, if you don't know much about Board Game Arena, it's just a website that has digital versions of board games. And what's nice about it is all the upkeep and setup is programmed into the game, so you don't have to fiddle with all the little bits and pieces to start and play a game. So yeah, just to give you a quick overview of the game, if you don't know much about Wastelandia, it's a cooperative or solo boss battler. It's a puzzly dice placement game. So you play as you play as a team of characters. Each character has kind of their own tableau of abilities, and you'll be using dice to activate your different abilities. It's a very puzzly game with lots of dice rolling as well, and lots of epic bosses you'll be coming up against. So yeah, let's get going here. It's free to set up an account on Board Game Arena, so you'll just make an account. And once you're on the website, this is the main page. I'll just type in Wastelandia. Oh, that's the easiest way to find it. So Wastelandia. And one thing to note, if you click this play button here and you go to learn, there's a tutorial. So you can click in here to go into a tutorial that I made, and it'll kind of walk you through step by step what I'm pretty much what I'm going to walk you through, but so that's an option if you want to do that. And there's also the rule book. You can read that as well. So, but I'm just going to take you through a solo game here. And so yeah, if you're unfamiliar with Board Game Arena, you can join games with other people or friends from anywhere around the world. And so, okay, but here let's do our solo game. So for a solo, you need actually 2 players because there's no 1-player option. But the way you do it is you click on this open seat here, you go down to hot seat, you click on that, and then you type in a second player. And so basically I've got these 2 characters now, and so I'll just be jumping back and forth between the 2 characters. So it's like a 2-handed solo game, which is how the real version works. So it's a perfect example. All right, so let's go to the game. Okay. All right, so like I mentioned before, this is a boss battler. So we've got these 2 bosses to defeat over here, the Clink bot here and the Clink bot here. And so the way we win the entire game is to complete 4 battles. And so for this first battle, to complete this battle, we have to get their health down to 0, and we have 6 turns to do that. So 6 turns or less to get both of these bosses' health down to 0. And so one way we might lose is if either character's health goes down to 0. So we've got 20 health and 20 health to start in the beginner mode. All right, so yeah, we got these 2 characters, and you'll notice, so it's Crazy Carl's turn. And so the kind of turn structure of the game is it'll be a character will go, the bosses will act, next character will go, bosses will act, just back and forth. And so we've got these dice here, and what we'll be doing with these dice is placing them on our different abilities on our player board. So each character's got a different set of abilities that kind of gives them a unique puzzle and unique feel. And so yeah, I'll be placing these dice on these different abilities. So this one requires a 3. This one needs 2 of any dice, but they have to be the same, have to be matching. That's what the equal sign is. This one can be anything. This one can be 2 matching plus something else. Basic ability, so even. I need odd for this one. This can be anything. And so a couple things before we start playing on our different abilities. So first thing we need to check is what these bosses are going to be doing back to us at the end of my turn here. So if you'll see, this A ability has this yellow outlined, and so this is just letting me know that at the end of my turn, this is what they're going to do back to us. So we have this information which might be important for kind of planning around, and actually in this particular example it is. So just to look at this, this little cracked heart icon, that's the damage. So I'm going to take 2 times X damage. And X, if you read here, says it's the total amount of 1s and 2s that I'm showing. And so I'm going to take 2 damage for every 1 and or 2 that I have. So I've got 3 2s. So right now I'm going to be taking 6 damage, not just from this guy, but from this guy as well. So I might have to, that might be a concern that I'll have to deal with. All right, so I know what they're going to do, and so before I start placing my dice, I need to learn what my abilities do. So we'll look first at these damage dealing abilities, because these are your core way of defeating these bosses. So this one needs a 3. It does 2 damage to X, and so it targets X amount of bosses. And so if you read in the text of the card, it says X equals the total 3s you have showing. So if I were to place that 1-3 on there, I'd have 1-3 showing, and I would deal 2 damage to one boss. But if I had a 3, if I had more than 1-3 showing, then I would actually get to deal 2 damage to both of them, which could be nice. And so if I look at my dice here, I don't have any 3s, so that's a bummer. But one of the kind of key mechanics of this game is we've got this supply of power cubes. So if we look over here, we've got 10 of these power cubes, and what these are essentially are just rerolls. And so this is a supply that the entire team is going to share. So these 2 characters in this game are going to share that supply to reroll their dice. And this is something that carries over from one battle to the next. It doesn't, it's not going to reset between each battle. So managing those throughout the 4 battles is kind of is an important part of the strategy. And so right now, I love to deal some damage to start. And I'd also like to get rid of some of these too. So you know what? I'm gonna click on all of these dice, and what's nice is I can re-roll all 5 of these dice with a single re-roll, with a single power cube. So if I wanted to, I could have just chosen 1 or 2, but you can choose up to all your dice. So I'm just gonna re-roll all of these dice, and I'm hoping for some 3s. Oh, what do you know? I got some 3s. Okay, all right, so I got a couple of 3s. I still have this 2, which is going to deal me some damage. So, what do I want to do with that? You know what, so just looking at some of my other abilities real quick before we start placing some dice. So look at this one. So this one's going to deal 2 fear. So that scared face icon, that's called fear. And this is one of the other kind of key unique mechanics of this game. And so basically what fear does is, I'll just give you an example. So if I were to deal 2 fear to this bot over here. So now every time I deal damage to this bot, I get to add that 2 fear to the damage. And so say I did 2 fear, and then I did this one afterwards, I did 2 damage, then I could do 2 plus 2, so I do 4 damage instead. And so that doesn't depreciate or is not removed after each turn. So, you might try to stack up a bunch of fear on one of the characters so that every single time you deal damage, you're dealing a lot more damage. So okay, I need this one. I need 2 matching dice and then 1 for something else. This one I deal fear based on the 1s and 2s that I have showing. So I've got a 2. That'll allow me to deal 1 fear. And this one I need a couple matching dice. And so this one basically, what this one does is I get to place a couple resources on this card, and then my teammate can actually spend these resources on their turn in order to adjust their dice up or down 1. So it gives them a little bit of a dice manipulation. So I don't have any matching dice. You know what? I'm gonna reroll again. We've got plenty of rerolls to start, so I'm gonna reroll, hoping for some matching dice. Maybe get rid of that 2. We'll see what happens here. Okay, so I got a couple 6s, and I got the 2. All right. Well, you know what? Here's what I'll do. I'll confirm these dice, and I'm going to use this battle card. And I've got these 2 6s so I need 2 that match, and then I'm gonna use this 2 as the last one. And okay, so that's gonna deal automatic 2 fear to both of them, which is nice because I've got these 2 3s, and I can deal damage to both of them, so that's going to be useful for later. And so this battle card has an additional effect. Each player has to choose a dice and roll it. And if you get 3 or lower, then the character actually has to gain 2 fear. For 4 or higher, then you're in the clear. So I'm going to reroll that 2. And I chose that 2 because it was an opportunity for me to get rid of a 2, which is going to deal me some damage from these guys. And so luckily, I got a 4, so that not only did I change that 2, but I'm avoiding or I'm avoiding any sort of fear that I'd be taken from this card too. So I'll confirm that dice. Like I mentioned, both characters will roll a dice to see if they take fear. And okay, Willow's going to take some fear. I could use a power cube, but oh, that's okay. It's just a little bit of fear. It's not going to hurt too bad. All right, so back to my character, and I've got these 2 3s left. So here's what do I want to do. So yeah, I definitely want to deal some damage, and because I have multiple 3s, I get to deal damage to both of them. So that was actually pretty good. So including that, so I did 4 damage to both of these characters. And let's see, I've got this 1 dice left, and a couple options. And so yeah, just to kind of go through the last abilities we haven't talked through. So all characters have these same basic abilities. So this healing dice, if I place an even, I'll heal for that amount. So if I placed a 6, I'd heal for 6. This allows me to remove fear. I need an odd dice. If I placed a 3, I would remove 3 fear. I don't have any now. And this one this is one of your ways of replenishing that team supply of power cubes. So I can, any dice to gain 1, but if I place a 6, I get to gain 2 instead. And all characters have this stick as well. And basically how this works is, next to that damage icon, those 2 little dice, basically that means whatever dice you place on that card, you roll it, and then the outcome is, the effect of that card is dependent on your roll. So if you were to roll 3 or higher, then you deal 1 damage. And so I'm going to do that. I'll just throw a stick and hoping for a 3 or higher. And I got a 1. And so not only did I miss, but I'm also going to take damage for that 1. So I'm going to spend a reroll and hope for a 3 or higher. And I got a 6. Okay, nice. And so I'm going to deal a little bit extra damage. So 1 damage. Plus the 2 fears, I'm going to deal 3 damage. So that one's almost finished off. And moving on to the next character, and so, yeah, just it just kind of happened very quickly. But both these bosses did their A ability, but since I didn't have any 1s or 2s showing, I didn't take any damage. Okay, and so I've got these 2 guys to try to finish off here. This guy just needs a single hit. This guy needs a little bit more. So we know that if they're either of these are alive at the end of the turn, they're going to do 2 damage to all. So both of these characters will take 2 damage from each of these guys. But let's see. I think I can finish these guys off. Let's see what I can do. So Willow's bow here, I need a 3 dice to use this to deal 2 damage. I need a 4 on this one to deal some fear. So since I don't have any 3s or 4s, I'm going to, I could keep some of these 6s maybe if I wanted to keep those, but you know what? I'm going to up my odds of getting those 3s and 4s. I'm just going to reroll all those dice. Okay, well I got a 4, but no 3. And so I really want to be able to use that 3 to deal some damage. So I'm going to keep that 4, but I'm going to re-roll these other ones and hopefully try to get a 3. Okay, so I got a 3. Nice. Okay, so let's see. So just to quickly look at some of Willow's abilities. So I've got this bow that does 2 damage. I've got this that does the fear. I've got this team healing ability, which is nice. I need 2 matching dice and then something extra. And it heals both of our characters for 7. And also, if you read the text, all players and baddies will gain a fear. So it's gonna kind of hurt us and help us a little bit there. So, and then I'll just the last one here. So every character has one of these orange abilities. So Crazy Carl's was this super high tops, which, as I mentioned before, if I had used this, I would have had some resources that would help my teammate adjust dice up and down 1. And Willow's got her own thing where she can flip a dice and then reuse that dice. And so I could, if I put like a 1 there, I could flip that to a 6 to the opposite side and then reuse that somewhere else. And so I don't really have a need for that this turn. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do some healing and to kind of boost us up for the next battle. So I want to use the 4 here. So rather than use these matching 4s, I'm going to use my matching 2s. And then on this last one, I'll just use the one of these 4s. And that way I leave this 4 left over for the CD shurikens. And I'm leaving this 3 left over for my bow because I'm planning on using those afterwards. So, all right, place those there. Gains 7 health. And you know what, actually, I'm going to change my mind a little bit. I'm not going to use the CD shurikens because that smoke bombs gained, it dealt some fear to the baddies, to these bosses here. That's enough for this one has enough fear to finish him off with the bow, because he has 3 fear, 5, so 3 plus the 2 damage for the bow equals 5. Can finish off this guy. And so, yeah, instead of using the 4 on the CD shurikens, I'm just going to throw a stick at this last guy, and that, because he has 3 fear already, that's enough to finish him off. Alright, because I rolled a 3 or higher, I was able to finish him off. Nice. And before actually, I'll just go ahead and confirm this. And alright, so after each battle, there is a loot phase, and this is a chance for both characters to add a new ability to their player board. So if you were wondering what these empty spaces were on your player board, that's where you're adding new things to kind of build out your character between each battle. And so if you look at kind of your options here, the way you're choosing it, you're choosing like an entire column. So you're making a kind of collective choice. And so if I were to choose this this slingshot here, right, I would get this slingshot added to my player board, but I'd also gain this reward here. So you'll get a little boost after each battle as well. If you'll notice on this card, there's on each one of these cards actually there's a regular reward and a super reward. And so just one thing I didn't mention, but you'll want to pay attention to when you're playing is every battle has an additional optional challenge. So this first one is complete the battle in 3 turns or less. And we did it in 2 turns, so we completed that. And so if I'm choosing this slingshot, instead of getting this regular reward of 3 power cubes, I'm actually going to gain 6. And then additionally, above that, there's this, it says 4th here, so that's the turn order for the next battle. And so if I were to choose the slingshot, I would be 4th in turn order. And so let's see, why isn't it? Oh, show. Okay, there we go. All right, so what do I want to choose? I'll take this slingshot, and now it's switched over to Crazy Carl, so you can pick. I'll choose this. Okay. All right, so moving on to the next ability, we automatically get these rewards. Carl has a reward that's gonna help him in his first turn of his next battle. And so yeah, that's basically how it plays out. This is the second battle, and each one gets significantly harder than the last. The 4th one is a pretty tough one. It's a pretty tough challenge. So yeah, see if you can make it all the way through. But yeah, thanks for playing, and thanks for checking out the game. Have fun.